What's up, guys? This is Rise and welcome to another video where once again we are going to be going over some teams as the leagues shift in the Go Battle League to run to help get your elo up and running, whether it's to hit that ace rank, veteran, expert, or even legend in the Go Battle League. Some teams from some top trainers to help you climb in the Go Battle League. We have another week of Great League Remix and Master League, so it's going to be primarily Great League Remix teams and some bonus Master League teams at the end if you are a Master League specialist. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it. These teams come from some of the top players from the country of France. So bonjour. Let's take a look at the graphic and scoot on over. Some top French battlers have sent in their team recommendations in this Shared Skies season. And we start off with none other than Tonon Batus, notoriously the EUIC champion from last season, but that's what everyone says. He has not only done well in terms of that one tournament, right, where he really made a name for himself, but he's had really consistent performances and has done well in a multitude of tournaments. So a really consistent player, and he is running Shadow Sableye as well as Shadow Gligar and Empoleon. Tonon is known for running very spicy Pokemon. He actually got all the way to the finals of a tournament running a Sea King, which is absolutely absurd, where he eventually fell to Patoman, a terrific young trainer. So Tonon running Shadow Sableye lead, which is a very fun Pokemon to use if you have it. Shadow Gligar and Empoleon. Energy management, it says, is crucial for this team. Sableye can force shields or switch advantage, and yeah, the flexibility we all talk about with Sableye, right? And if they are not prepared for it, if you can overfarm energy, and that's where keeping track of that energy can be so crucial, Sableye can really put in work when you are able to keep track of that energy and take advantage of that. So a cool team from Tonon. Sandodu, top 3 from EUIC this year. One of those players that is retired, quote unquote, but not so much retired. As he's running Obstagoon, one of my favorite Pokemon, as well as Shadow Gligar and Toxapex. You don't see Toxapex too often these days, but a very bulky Pokemon can be a little bit of a nuisance to play against. And Shadow Gligar, of course, top meta. Obstagoon, I've been seeing a decent amount in this meta. I've seen Wholesome, a fellow streamer, content creator, and Caster has been running Obstagoon to some success. I forget if Wholesome has hit Legend already or not, but he's a terrific player. And he may have hit Legend already. I'm not sure. But a solid-looking team from Sandodu. We've got Kaston, 69, top 3 from Dortmund. And he is running the Dene. Awfully cute Pokemon. Shout out to Swag Tips. That's like his signature pick. He's running Shadow Gligar once again on that safe switch. Just such a safe Pokemon. And, you know, some people have really said this season is the season of Shadow Gligar. And I tend to agree. It might be the most popular pick and the most neutral and dominant also Pokemon in this open Great League meta this season. It's also been, I think, the Pokemon that has been on the most championship winning teams in the Play Pokemon circuit this season. So this has been like the season of Shadow Gligar. So there's a reason that we're seeing it so often on these teams, right? It's that good. Shadow Quagsire as the closer. We've seen a surge of Shadow Quagsire over the last few months or so, because of that Aqua Tail buff, right? And then getting Aqua Tail added to its move pool. Just so ridiculously spammy. 4 mud shots to every Aqua Tail, and it hits pretty hard with that Shadow boost and the buff that Aqua Tail got. So Aqua Tail being able to 2-shot a Gligar and getting it so quickly is pretty insane. Cool team from Kaston. It says the Dene core breaks water dragon types. Yeah, honestly, like Sandodu's team, right? If you see the Dene lead, like that's pretty brutal. The Dene, well, I guess not terrible, right? Because I was thinking Toxapex is weak to electric, but honestly, the poison jabs are fine. But for example, like the Jellicent in the back team with like Wolfpack, right? Like the Dene could be a problem for that. So we see Wolfpack team coming up next. Deoxys Defense in the lead. Jellicent safe swap and Mantine closer. Seen a fair amount of Mantine in this meta. Very bulky Pokemon, very consistent. Deoxys Defense This seems like one of those ABB style teams where you might want to Psycho Boost in dip. I've seen a ton of Deoxys defense leads in this Great League Remix meta. People like to do that strategy of Psycho Boost and dip into something else and dance around with their Deoxys. And Jellicent as well. I know Axon, the world champ, my friend, was hyping up Jellicent in this meta. It says Deoxys is one of the best counter users in the meta. Either Ice Beam or Water Pulse works on Mantine. Yeah, it just depends what you're going for with the coverage. Ice Beam is a little bit of a better move in general, but Water Pulse sometimes can be a little bit better in terms of coverage. So I could see either one making sense. We scroll down. Let's go to the next three here. Damon Cash running Deoxys, Greninja, and Tropius. Dude, I saw a Greninja today just totally core broke my team. My team was not ready for it. And Deoxys defense in the lead once again. Greninja as well as Tropius, I just said. Greninja is incredible with good energy management. It can sweep teams, absolutely. It is ridiculously spammy with that Water Shriek and Fast Attack. Generates energy so quickly. And it is very easy, if your opponent is not locked in, tracking energy and focused, to lose track of how much energy Greninja has. I actually made a mistake against the Greninja. I thought I could farm it down, and I was one off. So it got to a move with like a sliver of health, and I ended up losing a ton of energy because I thought I could farm it down, and then my Pokemon went down. So I lost a game because of that. I might have lost anyway, to be honest, because I was in a bad spot, but I was trying to commit to the farm down, and that was embarrassing. My opponent probably messaged their friends. I just totally wrecked Rise. I'm so good. And and then Tropius in the back. Super bulky Pokemon. Tropius, I've been seeing a fair amount as well. And does very well against water types, of course. And if you're running Razor Leaf, can be really oppressive, can be really annoying to play against. Air Slash a little bit more consistent. So kind of your choice. It doesn't specify Air Slash. That's usually the typical moveset for Tropius, but I've seen some people opting for Razor Leaf, which can help you a little bit more in certain matchups. We see Welton, top 16 from Lille, 2023, running Shadow Dragonite, Shadow Quagsire, and Registeel. Shadow Dragonite is such an oppressive Pokemon. If your team does not have a lot of fast attack pressure, Shadow Dragonite can just steamroll through teams by expending shield, right? It can just be so oppressive with that Dragon Breath damage. It's so high attack. So if you have like Mudshot users, right, it can be a real menace to deal with. Shadow Dragonite is something you got to be taking account for in this meta, and sometimes something you have to really tag team to deal with. Can be annoying to deal with. Mud Bomb is recommended on Quagsire to deal with Poliwrath. It says Dragonite is good at putting pressure, of course. So that's interesting. Mud Bomb Quag as opposed to the standard Aqua Tail Stone Edge. I would presume Aqua Tail Mud Bomb is what it's recommending, as opposed to Mud Bomb Stone Edge, because there's a ton of Gligar in this meta, as we talked about. So I think you always want Aqua Tail for Gligar. Plus, it's like a community day move, so you don't want to like TM off Aqua Tail. So yeah, and then Registeel, which isn't as common lately, right? But it's still a very strong Pokemon. I mean, if you look at the PV Poke rankings, Registeel is still always towards the top. So Registeel is still one of the big boys. We just don't see it as much anymore for whatever reason. I think the lack of fast attack pressure makes Registeel more of like a technical Pokemon to use these days, where high-level players can navigate it. Where I've seen situations where like people are leading Lickitung into Reggie, right? And they're just like body slam chipping, switching Gligar, and then like dancing around, where because Reggie doesn't have fast attack pressure and it relies on that charge attack pressure, sometimes people can really navigate it, even if Reggie is able to line itself up in good positions. So anyway, next, Hikami, top 10 EUIC 2024, Shadow Gligar, Shadow A9 Safe Swap, and Poliwrath. Interesting that Shadow A9 is the safe swap. Doesn't want to see that Registeel as a counter swap, that's for sure. But against like pretty much everything else you see on the screen right now, like other than that Registeel, right, has play against everything else as a potential counter swap. So both Powder Snow and Charm work on A9, it says. The strategy is to keep 2 shields for the Poliwrath. Okay, so that's interesting, because you don't necessarily think of A9 and Poliwrath as like similar type Pokemon, right? So in this ABB type strategy, it's not like A9 and Poly are like similar Pokemon where A9 lures out the Poliwrath counter. You would think A9 lures out like a Steel type usually, as opposed to like something that would counter the Poliwrath. But in this more ABC style team, it looks like A9 is going to usually act as the safe swap, and then Poliwrath is going to try and close out games here. So 3 strong Pokemon. I can see this team performing well. And also Dynamic Punch on the Poliwrath is interesting. So I guess that could come in handy against opposing Poliwrath. I could see Jellicent being a little bit of a core breaker for this team. Jelly could be annoying. However, Gligar doesn't do that bad against Jelly because it can withstand a Surf. And the Aerial Ace plus the Wing Attack's pretty much like 2 shots. So Gligar doesn't do that bad against Jelly. And of course, if you're running Charm, that's not that bad. And Dazzling Gleam, if you're running Powder Snow, like almost... Dazzling Gleam like puts it right into Weather Ball range, so definitely not the end of the world. Just have to navigate it. And then we close off the video with a couple of Master League options. So for you Master League specialists there, I wasn't lying. We have DC Vulpix, play Pokemon and Grassroots Judge, also a terrific battler, running Xerneas as well as Landorus Safe Swap. And the Necrozma, right? Yeah, Necrozma. I'm glad I remembered it on the spot. Okay, it says it in the description too. Otherwise, that would have been embarrassing. I would have had to like Google it on the side as the closer. And cool looking team. I'm always a fan of Xerneas. I think it's one of the best Master League Pokemon. And then we all know how good Landorus is, and Necrozma, a cool new Pokemon that everyone's been catching. I've been seeing everyone flexing their hundos from New York City Go Fest. I didn't attend it, but was definitely a little bit of FOMO not attending this year. But I was just gonna chill this year and do my thing back at home. But it was cool to see all the people having a ton of fun in New York City. If you got to attend, that looked like a ton of fun. And yeah, Xerneas, Lando, Necrozma. Try to keep a shield or have energy advantage for Necrozma Dawn Wings. It's a great closer, so a nice little strategy there for you Master League specialists if you want to run this team from DC Vulpix. And then Mini Benoit wrapping things up. Top 10 Leal finisher, running Giratina Origin as well as a Zacian Safe Swap, and then Xerneas closer. So Ghost double Fairy. Yeah, the fairies are just so neutral against so many teams. And it says any moveset on Zacian works and can surprise your opponent, adapt to what you face the most. That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, that's what I oftentimes give as advice to people in the Go Battle League. Sometimes you try to adapt to what you're seeing. If you're seeing a lot of certain lines, maybe try to adjust to a team that you feel like has play against the multitude of things that you're seeing most often, and that can oftentimes lead to success. Oftentimes, you can take inspiration from these teams that we're showcasing that have maybe provided success to these battlers, but sometimes you can maybe use inspiration as these, but then you're saying, I'm seeing a lot of this, a lot of that, and maybe take inspiration from some of these battlers or use your own massive brains that you guys have to come up with, if I maybe change this to that, that would help adapt to what I'm seeing a lot in my ELO range. So there you have it. Lots of teams. Shout out to Inadequence for putting these graphics together on a weekly basis. Super helpful, super cool stuff. Go check him out on X, where you guys can download this entire graphic. Download it to your phones. Use it as a reference if you're wondering what to run in the Go Battle League. And I will leave a link to his Twitter or X account in the description. Shout out to France as well. I appreciate you guys. We've got a great global community here in the Pokemon Go world. It makes this game super cool and worthwhile. I appreciate all of you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, comment down below. All comments are appreciated. And all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.